These goons don't learn, and honestly, I think we finally reached the point where they might finally stop, given the fact that they seemingly are terrified of Tomo's father, and I guess maybe that's enough to really get through their thick skulls. But the fact that June, Tomo have been beating the living snot out of them, to the fact that they literally stared into the pits of hell, that being Mizuzu's soul, and the pits of hell bit back. You would think that would be enough, you would think Carol electrocuting them to near death would be enough, but no, it took them this long to maybe get to that point. But what an episode. I can't be the only one who felt like we watched 2 full-length episodes of Tomo-chan Is a Girl. We have the first half being dedicated to like the fireworks festival, the will they, won't they, learning that our boy June is a bit of an airhead. He actually thought that confession wasn't a confession. Makes your mind explode. You want to get angry, but then you realize how adorable he is, flustered over the fact that he's clearly in love with her, that you forgive it. And then the second half of the episode is just everything that I just explained with the gang. And honestly, I'd go as far to say this is probably now the new best episode of Tomo-chan, and it just feels like I keep saying that. Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's wonderful, violent, provocative, what am I watching episode. So if you do want to see my full uncut thoughts, head on over there and consider supporting, because it is definitely a fun one to watch. And honestly, I love it. The first thing we gotta talk about is, of course, the goons. I mean, just seeing the lengths they went, I mean, initially when Carol pulls out her little shock device, the fact that she has a rubber glove on too so she doesn't get hurt, and just the fact that they go so extreme to then shortly after her falling face first into like a mud puddle, like that's the most Carol thing ever. And I have to admit, I wasn't expecting to really enjoy any ship in this show other than Tomo and June. But I have to say, our boy, when he thought they were indecent towards Carol, because he walks in and sees Mizuzu more or less putting a shirt over Carol because, well, Carol was rather exposed. Yes, she did have a bra on, but I mean, when they're that big, they definitely start making people feel things. And to see him get a mixture of flustered to then immediately just so enraged that how dare you do that to her, he thought they were the ones who stripped her down, not that she was just dirty, and he was ready to kill. I would argue that out of every character who has been physically enraged in this show, he probably was the most ready to kill for her. And I thought that was adorable. I mean, it was sad because of what he thought actually happened, but in terms of once it gets resolved and then them just leaving, I was like, you know what? I surprisingly like a ship other than Tomo and June, and I really enjoy what they did here. But I mean, to just see like how many times they've been beaten, every time I think they've learned their lesson, they come back for more. The first time, okay, they get beat up by one person. Okay, well, they don't realize the next person can beat them up. Okay, but once you realize that Tomo and June have kicked your butt, you would think that would get through to you. No, we're just gonna go after their friends, because that's how we'll get them. And then still, like, at this point, they could have an army behind their back, and I'm still willing to bet they would try something. Now, seemingly they're trying to make us believe that Tomo's father is enough to scare them and that they'll be loyal puppies, but I don't know. It's only a matter of time. But something I've enjoyed over the past handful of episodes is seeing where Mizuzu's character is going, because right now it feels like, and this is what I've been saying for a while, it feels like she's scared of being more or less the third wheel. What happens when one of her friends and her ex, who honestly she keeps saying hates with a living passion, if they get together, there'll be less time for her to be with Tomo, and she's very worried about that. Of course, she wants to see them get together, but it feels like she's worried of what will happen when she's the third wheel. But I think when you look at the fact that Carol even invited her to go with her to the festival, even knowing that she had a date and she didn't, I think the fact of the matter is there'll be a point where she accepts that she's not going to be alone and that she has her own life to live and it'll be okay. But as it stands, there's obviously that worry. But I love the fact that, you know, this is something I keep bringing up in every anime that has festival fireworks anymore, because a common trope used to be in anime, especially school anime with any sort of will they, won't they plotline, is the festival episode would either be episode 11 or 12 of the first season, right? It was like the cliche way you ended a show. Oh, here's the wannabe couple. Are they gonna get together? They go, oh, look at how she's dressed up. The fireworks explode. Oh, are they gonna kiss? Usually no, but sometimes they do. And now it feels like these episodes happen around 2/3 of the way through. So a lot of times episode 7 or 8, they throw a festival at us. It's almost as if the anime industry collectively agreed, okay, we got too predictable. Episode 11 and 12, no more. We're gonna put it at episode 7 or 8. So now it's predictable in the way that you always get it around this point now. But it's something that I find amusing, right? And I love these episodes. I love seeing them play games. In Tomo-chan in girl fashion, they literally clean the stalls out because they're just that talented. They have fun with Carol being such a lost puppy that if you let go of her for one moment, she's gone, and he has to be like the Flash and bring her back. There was a lot of really fun moments, but I think it's good because the first half of the show was almost like seeing everything from Tomo's perspective with a slight hint of how June might feel, with now the second half of the show being a lot more focused on his perspective. Like, he fully is, like, he seems a little clueless and a bit of an airhead in the way that he doesn't quite understand his feelings, but I think he's pretty much getting there. And the fact that he admits in this episode that he fully was like, no, when she said I love you, like, that can't be what it means. When the confession from him happens, that is going to be the most head-smashing moment, because she's probably going to be like, bro, I said I love you, and he's like, bro, I've been worried this whole time because I misunderstood. They're perfect together. They're so clueless, they're so ridiculous, and I can't wait to see how they're going to continue to progress their relationship. So even when moments where you're like, man, can they just kiss and get together already, you also feel like things happen fast enough, and they always keep it funny and fresh, so it never feels like a drag in any way. I just love watching this show. I think every episode finds a way to improve on something about the formula. In this episode, I think the comedy was hands down the funniest. It had a little saucy spice to it, and most importantly has every element I really enjoy. The only thing I could nitpick if you really forced me is that the two girls who originally I thought were going to be bullies towards Tomo, they weren't really centered in any way in this episode. That's like the only thing that was really missing for me, but it was still like a 10 out of 10 episode. It hits right on the comedy, it hits right on the progression of the will they, won't they, and they continue to make the side cast feel relevant. And I mean, when you look at a character like Carol, who just so UFO alien-like dropped in on this cast, injected herself with her personality, and everyone just collectively accepted her, a character like that should feel more out of place with how they dropped her in, but she felt like she was friends with them forever, and she was a part of the show since episode 1, and I love what they're doing. I almost forgot to mention, but when looking at my screenshots, I had to bring this up. The number of times Carol is just so attached to our girl Mizuzu, and she's either like stretching her face or just completely clobbering her with her own violent form of love is so adorable and can be some of the best background comedy in any episode. I can't wait to see how the remaining chunk of this season progresses. I think they're doing a good job keeping a little bit of spice, a little bit of drama relevant, without getting in the way and ruining anything or feeling like, oh, they're going to get broken apart and, you know, the show's going to end inconclusively. No, like, we know where the show's heading, and I think the way they use what should be typical cliche moments into something that feels so unique for Tomo-chan, I mean, I absolutely love it. But thoughts, feelings yourself down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel. And of course, as I mentioned, I have that full live reaction available on my Patreon. And hey, while you're there, you can also get yourself a video shout out. So today we have Taylor, Bryce Desangles, Yago0135, If Cho, Shadow Cyber Demon, and Sean McDonough. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.